I did not have fun watching Borderlands, that's for fucking sure.
Yes, Borderlands was really bad.
It was really bad.
I was surprised because it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not even the worst movie I've seen this year.
But
it's still bad.
It's horrible.
I went into this movie trying to find some positive.
So was I.
Anything. Because I hadn't heard anything, and I came up with 3.
Oh, dear Lord.
I came up with 3 positives to say about this movie.
I might have like 2.
Are you proud of me?
Sure. You're always more positive than me.
The animation for Claptrap was pretty good. Pretty solid.
I guess when you surround it with how bad the animation is in the rest of the movie, yeah.
But, I mean, just, like, his little eye thing moving around and zooming in and out, and, like, the paint job was, like, cracked, and it looked fairly good.
Pretty good.
You want me to go through all my positives? I thought we were going to bounce our positives.
I mean, we can. I did, in fact, snicker at more than one joke.
Whoa. I only got one, and it was a... that was it.
Yeah, I think I got like one, like, and that might have been because I was so tired by the end of the movie but like, it didn't make the comedy, while horrible, completely out of touch with what actually makes the games funny and everything else. Like, this is the worst Redditor type energy. But it wasn't the most cringe-inducing thing I've ever seen in my life. Mostly it was boring in terms of jokes. A lot of them just didn't land. And I was like, well, that was lame. Well, that was lame. Instead of it being like, oh, fuck, put me out of my misery, kill me.
I think it was more like...
I thought the pee joke was funny. I'm sorry.
Which one was that? The one that's in her mouth?
Yeah.
Come on.
I know! I'm a simple man. I see banana, I get hungry. When they're like, oh no, it's pee. Like, okay, fine.
They didn't even say the piss word.
They didn't even, no.
They were...
It's 87% urine and 24%... Yeah, no, that was like a mild, like...
There was some pretty incredible attention to detail in, like, costuming, or, like... There's one time where Lilith looks down the scope of her gun, and it's a Jacob's scope from the game. I was like, holy crap, that looks good.
There were a few things like that I was kind of impressed by. But to temper that, the vast majority of it felt really, really, really shallow. Like, I would recognize something, and I'm like, but this has nothing to do with why that thing's cool or important. It's just there.
I was gonna say
like, someone ran through like the Wikipedia and we're like, we'll pull out some random names of shit and like just shove them in there.
I was thinking more that any dose of quality in this movie, like costume designer or anything, wasn't unique. It was all derivative.
Yeah.
It was an exact one-for-one copy from a game.
Yeah, which I get why you'd want to, but it also feels violently uninspired because of that. Like, they don't... I don't usually like this sort of complaint, but it felt like cosplay.
Kinda.
Because everything is mostly clean and very shiny, and like this bothered me. Like, the way they handle guns is horrible. Not just because like, oh, they don't know how to use guns, but like the actors were not comfortable with the things they were using, so they were just like, there was a couple of sequences where I could tell Cate Blanchett was just like, wee, 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 wee.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, like I feel bad for the actors having like really crappy direction and like no seemingly like familiarity with the stuff they're using. It felt very like alien.
But there was also like an attempt to have Lilith like swinging the guns around, and I'm assuming it's because in the game she can reload the guns by swinging them around because it's cool.
Yeah, there was
they never explained that.
No, it was just flair. But and that was the.
So it's like, having played the games, I'm like, oh, that makes sense because she has this power, but it's never explained.
Yeah, no. I think the thing that bugs me the most is not like I wanted this movie to be cel shaded, but the style doesn't work without the cel shading. Like, if you're going to make it basically one for one, you have to have like, this is when adaptation should actually be relevant. Like, you do need to change the textures of things, find a different material that works better, because without the pretty good choice of cel shading to cover up some pretty boring ass models quite frequently, like, it just looks like a costume party, and not in a good way. It's just like, oh, look at all these boring orange armor and wigs. It gives me the ick. It gives me that like I don't know. It's very hard to put a finger on. It's just like that's when you need to use your skills as a filmmaker or as, whoever, costume designer or whatever. It's like that's when you use your noggin and go, okay, well, what would this texture be like? And then when you're like, you're shooting it on, I would assume digital because everything's shot on digital now, but like you're on location or you're on a set or whatever, the light's going to be different than ambient lighting in a game. Like that just bugs me because the game, like that's part of the charm of the art style is how the cell shading feeds into the art style. It's not just we kind of threw it on top. It kind of makes the style work.
I guess kind of related to what you were just talking about. The cars seem to have been completely animated. There didn't seem to be a real car at all.
No, it was really bad.
And yeah, as they're driving around, there'd be weird bumps that they drive over. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, I didn't realize the car was fake until it was driving around and it looked awful.
Yeah, there was pretty much every sequence with a vehicle. Some psychic damage was happening. Like there's, like a Lilith drives by and it's like the frame of the car is covering half her face, and I'm like, oh look, it's just a PNG of Cate Blanchett underneath a digital car. Like and yeah, like the speeder bikes look horrible. It looks like they just sat on a bunch of like green boxes. Yeah, and that's crap. I get like the logistics of some of those vehicles would be hard to pull off. Yeah, it's an over the top game for a reason, but like at least try. Yeah, like I'm gonna do my thing. Hey, they've made the BVS Batmobile. It's a real thing. It's not a real tank, but they did make an actual car that moves like that.
The budget for that movie was a little different.
This movie cost $110 million. I
thought it was 140.
It might. Okay, give it even more credit. Okay. This is still like what a blockbuster should be budget-wise, and this still looks like shit.
I figured BVS would be double that.
I think BVS was about double that. Yeah. But like, you get my point. Come on. Come on. This movie does not feel like $110 million. This feels like Marvel $250 million right now in terms of CG quality. Like, this feels like 50 at most. This looked like shit.
All right, I have to go.
What's your next positive?
Another complaint to get to my positive.
Okay.
The casting.
Oh, it's so bad. Oh dear God.
On paper, I liked Jamie Lee Curtis as Tannis. It could have worked, but I think she was so poorly directed. Obviously, she hasn't played a Borderlands game. She doesn't know the character she's playing. I think it was straight out offensive to like autistic suffering people.
I am suffering.
She was just told be an autistic person, and she did, but that's not Tannis's character at all.
It was really bad.
It wasn't even autism as a superpower trope.
No, at least
could have at least been.
Yeah, at least that is like, this is so retarded, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Ben Affleck and the Accountant.
Bad.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart as
Roland.
Roland is supposed to be a parody character. He's supposed to be poking fun at like the Modern Warfare realistic shooters and saying like all the tropes in like a parody way to point out how fucking stupid it sounds. And you have a short guy play that role. It doesn't work. Most of the time he sounds like a dad yelling at his kids to just get in the car. It's awful.
To be fair,
he's just playing Kevin Hart.
So that was the
train. Real quick, Roland would have been better if it had at least been played by The Rock, because then he has the physical size. It's still a bad choice, but still. Yeah. At least it's closer.
So Kevin Hart was the one that I was the most, oh crap, I'm going to hate this movie, aren't I? I have a kind of a hate boner for Kevin Hart.
A lot of people do, I've been finding out.
Yeah, he's not a big fan. Out of all of the castings that I thought were going to be bad, he was the least insufferable.
Wow.
Because I don't know if it was just because he wasn't doing Kevin Hart jokes. Like, there were no jokes about him being short or angry or whatever. Like, none. He's just there.
I've never actually seen his shtick,
I
but
have.
It still kind of felt like his shtick. Like when he's driving the car, he's like, just get in the damn car. It's like,
there's a level of it for sure. He's not a good actor, so, for sure. It's just like, from what I was expecting, it was a lot not subdued, but it was way less over the top than I was expecting. Like, out of the main cast of characters, he's the most normal, which isn't a good thing, but it's not a bad thing. I will double you with another positive, actually. While Cate Blanchett is a horrible decision in terms of the character, she is the only person that's entertaining to watch in this fucking movie.
I found her to be 50-50. So,
she clearly did not give a shit.
Yeah, most of the time, she's just as fucking bored as we are watching it. But there's also, like, an attempt, some of the time, most of the time, of, like, trying to play what's poorly written and directed.
Yeah, like, the character does not resemble the one in the game at all. Like,
no.
You can make a character older and have it be relevant, but it's just not relevant. They make like 2 old lady jokes and that's it. And it's like, well, why? Then why did you do it if you're not going to make anything interesting with it other than like she's vaguely maternal to Tina, and in the beginning of the game someone calls her like an old bitch, and like that's it. And she's like, I'm too old for this shit. Then why the fuck are you flipping all over the place? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Like, you could either make it like she's old and it's a trope, or just cast a younger person.
I want to say I like Krieg, but he wasn't given enough to have a character.
The ADR is so bad for him. It's really
There's
shit.
A couple of times that he yells some of the dumb, stupid psycho lines, but I don't know. He didn't get enough. He looked the part, and sometimes he sounded the part.
He looked
but he just
fine,
didn't
but
have enough.
that was not good. I don't remember the actor's name, but the one who plays Tina, while I think she's a little too old for what the character was written to be, I just like the actor. She's been getting pretty popular recently.
She felt like a 20-something trying to play an 8-year-old, and it didn't work.
No,
like she was clearly trying. She was working really hard.
Yeah, I think she's 17 right now. So she played the younger version of Ahsoka in the TV show. Yep. She is just like actually really short. She was in Barbie, and those were like her 2 most recent like going up there. And it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's still like a child, but like Tina acts like a baby, and like you can make her older, but they don't try.
No.
You know,
I also didn't find a lot of her antics to be funny like they do in the game. Like,
it wasn't funny. It just wasn't like
bad copy.
I expected to be cringing out of my gourd, and it was just like, ugh,
right,
man.
It was interesting to have Moxie as like the old whorehouse matron. Like,
Woof!
I chalk this one up to an interpretation. I'm okay with it, but I've always seen her as like a younger character that's like always flirting with you, but you can never touch. Like, so it was interesting to have her as like the old used up whore of the whorehouse instead of the younger one. I don't know. It was kind of weird, but she was fine. That
actually, that's a point that I had this is a really sexless movie, despite the fact that it's really horny.
Yeah.
So I couldn't put my finger on it, but like frankly, the amount of like push-up bras and like boob makeup is absurd, which is fine because the games are like that. Yep. I'm into it. They're making some very attractive people even more attractive. I'm not complaining. You know, Cate Blanchett is Galadriel. Holy fuck, kill me, step on me. You know the deal. But like, this was apparently they shot some stuff that was like a bit more intense and had more blood or whatever, and like they could have done an R-rated one, but like this feels like it's barely PG-13. This is so fucking tame, not just because they don't scream, they don't like curse that much, but like
I thought that was like the hardest part.
Yeah, they say like son of a bitch a few times.
The language was pretty rough, but there's like no blood at all.
It doesn't just feel like it was cut down. It just feels like it's out of touch with what like the games are trying to do. But like why would you continue to then be like, and we're going to put you in 18 padded push-up bras, and we're going to do the contours on your boobs to make them look bigger, but also we're going to cast a bunch of women in their 50s? I don't understand that. Like, as a point, it doesn't. The two ideas don't mesh in my brain because it feels like going through the motions of being like, yeah, the games have chicks with big boobs, but like not making it actually part of the DNA of the movie or anything.
The opening gag of like every single game's main menu is to have like a skag walking down the road and then just all of a sudden be turned into mist as a car goes screaming by. Like, it's usually very funny violence, and there's none of that in this movie.
No.
So all of that casting discussion, to get to my last positive note, the guy that played Marcus crushed it. I really liked his performance. The guy that drives the bus and sells the weapons.
Oh.
He did.
I think he was the only one who was self-aware of how bad the movie was.
Yeah.
I guess. And that
But
fell in.
his voice sounded very similar, and he's having, or seemingly having,
might just
a
be the
ball.
voice actor.
He could have been.
Yeah.
But he looked the part, he sounded the part, and he was, like, having fun in the role.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, despite the fact that I didn't really find it entertaining, it was the only one that was like, this just isn't for me. It didn't feel like shit. It was just like, this just doesn't hit me.
What?
The Marcus, the character, like any of that stuff. Like I wasn't like laughing or being like, dang, look at this guy, but I was more like, this is for somebody.
He's a goober.
Yeah, you know, out of the rest of it, it was the only part of the humor, I guess, on the whole, that like kind of felt like they were trying something, even if it just isn't my deal. I mean, I criticize the Borderlands games for not being as funny as they think they are. So like, I'm not, you know, I am throwing rocks from a glass house, but this has no clue what actually makes Borderlands cool, fun, or interesting.
I think there were 3 action sequences where I literally threw my hands up in the air and was like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense.
They're really bad.
It was awful. Like
the choreography, there's they attempt to do a oneer in the like sewer hallway thingy with the psychos that was like fine. But the rest of it is choppy fucking shit.
And doesn't even make sense.
No, the physics don't...
There's characters in other rooms, and then all of a sudden they're in behind the locked door that all the bad guys were at. It's like, what?
No, I'm not a big fan. Actually, on the note of the psychos, one of the things that I don't really like about the games that much is the psychos are a pile of mixed bag. But the fact that they're like, look, these are the extra crazy psychos. You haven't shown how crazy actual psychos are, so that doesn't fucking mean anything, because the only sequence that has the psychos, other than Krieg, is in a montage that they clearly did not intend to be a montage, but it was picked to be a montage in the editing bay.
Yep. When
Lilith has to do her cringe-ass voiceover and was clearly as bored as Harrison Ford was doing the voiceover for the theatrical cut of Blade Runner. Like... why does it matter that they're the extra crazy ones? 1, no, they're not. 2, like, you haven't... what the fuck are the psychos other than they're crazy and they murder people? What the... okay, elaborate on that.
No world building.
The world building is so fucking bad. Like, the thing that I like the most about Borderlands isn't the humor or the gameplay even. I like the fucking commentary. I think it has really good politics, unironically.
Wow.
I know, me liking politics. But I think the games are actually pretty coherent about that. They're very good at satirizing things in a way that is very obvious, but also not like annoying. And the way that everything is set up in this movie makes no damn sense in terms of like factions and power and economy. None of it makes any fucking sense. Like, it vaguely resembles, if you squint really hard, something that you could have seen in a game, but it doesn't. It's the Borderlands universe is like a hyper ANCAP, like it's BioShock. It's what if all of the world was BioShock and then like it goes to shit because that's not a sustainable way to live life. And like, there are no governmental agencies, it's just a bunch of companies that run shit. And they don't convey that like at all. They basically just act like the companies are the government, but not in like an intelligent, like they basically are the government. They just run away from the feds the whole movie, and it's like, what is this shit? It just, that really bugged me. Like, I expected it to be dumbed down, but there's no thought put into it at all.
The guy that played Atlas was boring.
He was really fucking boring.
Felt like a guy they pulled in off the street.
I've seen him in some other stuff, but I don't remember what. Yeah, he felt really... no riz, man. No riz. Atlas in the games is at least interesting to listen to. This fucker was not. No direction. And I am gonna... the third act went completely off the fucking rails. Just big CGI bird fire Captain Marvel. What the fuck are we doing? By that time, I had completely checked out. I was just like, what the oh no, we're gonna double twist, and then it just turns into Black Adam ending.
Roland slides down a rope from nowhere. It shoots the bad guy. The bad guy's like, that didn't hurt me, stupid. And they went, oh.
Yeah, no.
It was literally like that.
The finale genuinely tanked any little type of kind of enjoyment I was having. At least I was like, yeah, whatever, this is fine. And then basically everything turned to 3D renders, and I was like, oh great, here we go.
There was about 5 minutes in the opening where I was like, maybe. There it goes.
Yep.
But I missed the opening minute or two. I walked in when Kate was at the bar saying I'm too old for this shit. Did I miss anything?
Not really. It was just...
How long did I miss?
2 minutes.
Dang.
No. That was the only scene where I was like, maybe there's something in here. And then as soon as Atlas started talking, I went, oh, fuck, no, never mind.
Yep.
No. And then they even try to do the found family trope by the end. I'm like, what are you smoking? Who cares?
Even the Atlas device that someone puts on so that Atlas can speak doesn't make sense, because sometimes the body does surprising actions, and then sometimes the body is thinking for itself. In
the same scene, it's like he's like, hey, I need you to go over here, and then 3 seconds later, he's just clearly editing room, what are you doing?
Yes.
You just shot a bunch of shit and just threw it in the blender and hoped it worked, because another very dumb, I don't really care, but it is a good example. When they open up the hatch to go into the sewers, there's clearly a crew member pulling the hatch from the back, and it's just in the movie. Normally, when Star Wars has that, it's endearing, but double standard, I don't care. It really does show how shit this is. This is a $110 million movie. Everything is CG.
I think it's 140.
Whatever. It's disgustingly expensive. It's bombing for good reason. It has no heart or soul to it. Nobody, I don't think anybody in this production gave a fucking shit about it. And I like Eli Roth as a director. I don't love him.
No, I agree.
But his hyper-violence could work for this, and they don't let him do it!
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. The guy that did Cabin Fever can do some pretty freaking messed up, gross stuff in this Borderlands movie. This is gonna be cool.
Triple the budget of Thanksgiving, and I'm pretty sure that's his highest budgeted movie. I don't know how to make a movie, so I'm not gonna armchair direct, but some people don't know what to do when they're given a big budget. It's just true. You have too many moving parts. You're just not used to it yet. Skill issue, but it's not even disrespect. It's just you're just not prepared for that, and you don't have people around you to make it work, because clearly nobody gave a shit about this. They realized that during the marketing campaign, because as soon as the teaser trailer came out, they stopped marketing it until release day.
Yep.
The review embargo dropped the morning of. Ugh.
I gave this 1 out of 5 stars.
Same.
It lands above Monster Hunter and Rampage, but it's under Welcome to Raccoon City.
It is above Welcome to Raccoon City and below Monster Hunter for me.
I at least have fun with Raccoon City.
I don't.
Point and laugh at
I do have fun. I do have some fun with Monster Hunter. It's still a boring movie, but I had a little bit of fun with that. There's one sequence that makes me go, "Ugh, that's gross." This was, it's above Rampage, because that is genuinely one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yep.
In terms of a high budget, proper movie-sized movie.
It is officially the worst movie I've seen this year.
Oh, look at you go.
Because Melancholia beat it out by half star. But to be fair, I didn't finish Melancholia, so I'm gonna say it's a tie.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think 1 out of 5 for this year. I think it's only above. It's above Megamind 2, which was horrible. Hey man, I love Megamind. You can't fuck me over like that. It's disgusting.
I haven't seen them.
And above, I watched Cruella's Revenge, which was horrendously bad. It's one of those $5 horror public domain movies. Horribly bad, but I actually did have fun with that. But that was the worst movie I've seen in a long time.
Wow.
So this is in my bottom 3 for the year. I think I've watched 65 movies. It's not good. This is bad. Even for a video game movie, this is pretty bad. It's just, holy fuck, man. Silent Hill Revelation was at least fun bad. This was just dog shit.
Yeah.
I only had 2 drinks. I needed way more.
I had none.
I do.
I don't want to hear you whining.
I should have gone in with multiple handles. Just gone off the chain. Fucking hell.